already have got the problem statement, and you were supposed to work on it, like you could start working on it then on, and no need to do it exactly at the hackathon session. And you could follow, you are allowed to follow any YouTube lecture, tutorial, or online material for that. Uh, the idea is to get a hands-on on Unity, so that you get, you can make your own application on that, which will again give you a better understanding of the platform as well. Yeah, those who are not presenting, actually, everybody else should switch off their mic, mute their mic. I'm getting a disturbance here.
Ritesh, can you turn on the camera so that I will be able to take some snapshots?
1 second. So for that,
Yeah.
I'll have to log in through my mobile phone. 1 second.
Okay. Sometime later is also fine.
All right. I hope it's visible. Sorry. Yeah.
Professor Akila, madam, can you mute your mic, madam, please? Professor Akila, madam.
It's fine, sir. You can
Yeah.
click the photograph, then I'll continue with the session. I'm not getting
Yeah,
any
yeah.
noise from
Yeah.
their systems.
It's over now.
All right. Okay, thanks. Okay, so in today's session, we will try to sum up everything that we have done and conclude it with creating the application that we were looking at from the day one, a connected tank model, for which HMI and simulation part, mathematical modeling part, Ajay already has told you in yesterday's two sessions. So we will not touch that part. It's done. But and in the third session yesterday, we had done the created the tank model, and created in, even in our Unity platform, we have created the scene. So which I'm assuming right now that we all are at same level on that one. Uh, Today I have sent you, if you can look in the chat box, I have sent a link, which is the link to the files that we are going to use today. It will have three folders. One will have the Python script, one will have the C# scripts for Unity, and one will have some materials that I'll just let you know what are the use for. So yeah, I'll start today's session. I'll start presenting from my screen. Okay. So as far as architecture is concerned, I guess we all are clear what we have done so far. So as I told you in the beginning itself, that Unity is not a mathematical modeling tool. It's simply a representation tool. It can only be used for creating uh, 3D models and VR environments. Uh, for providing it a precise mathematical uh, simulation capability, we are required to interface it with some other application which does that for VR. So in this case, we have been using OpenModelica. So for example, we have two sections here. One is our VR, which we are running on Unity. On the other hand, we have another application which we run on OpenModelica, so which is our simulation. And lastly, we have our HMI uh, and PLC, which we are running on Codesys for Windows. Codesys we can run for Raspberry Pi also, which uh, Professor Desai had told you about, uh, which is the complete solution that we had given, uh, we have developed. So in our case, we are using Codesys for Windows only. So PLC and HMI both are running on Windows. And Ajaya might have already told you that what is the link between OpenModelica and this HMI. So we are using OPC UA there. OPC UA because it's inbuilt in both of those softwares. Both have inbuilt OPC UA servers. So what we have done is we have created a client application in between, which talks to those two servers and exchanges information, all that is required. And in case of Unity, what we have done is we have created a UDP link. So on VR, we are running a UDP server, and on the uh, OpenModelica side, we are already have OPC UA server, which is inbuilt. So what we have done is we have created another client in between. What it does is it simply takes data from UDP as well as OPC UA and does the protocol translation. So it will take data from OPC, send it to VR via UDP, and vice versa. So far for our bouncing ball model, we just had one-way communication, which means that OpenModelica was calculating the height, and we were sending that value to our VR. But in this case, in case of connected tanks, Ajay might have already told you yesterday. So what are the variables that are coming in and out? So for example, from his HMI, the variables that were coming to simulation were valve position or valve opening. So which was a number from 0 to 1, which can be further scaled to 0 to 100%, but it is essentially a number between 0 to 1. And what is coming from OpenModelica to the HMI screen was the level of tank and flow rate of the wall. Yeah. So these two variables are were coming to the HMI, and one variable was going from HMI. So similarly, VR is nothing but a HMI only, but only difference being that this simple HMIs are two-dimensional, VR is three-dimensional and fully immersive. So same variable will be there. So you are going to give valve opening from the VR and take level and flow rate and show it on VR. Yeah. So this is going to be the task for today, that we have to get the data from OpenModelica model. So out of all this, OpenModelica has already been covered. So I'm not going to take you through that code, that what is happening in the simulation, because we have already done that. What I'll be discussing is the few changes that I have made in the client code compared to what we had done last time for bouncing ball, and the changes that UDP server requires for incorporating those changes in client. And finally, in our scene, what scripts we are going to use for providing animation. So that's our task for the day. So what I want you all to do now is just simply open the Unity 3D. So we all know what how it works is you go to the search menu, search for Unity Hub there, or Unity simply. Click on the application, you will get some such window. Now we had already started yesterday with our connected tank model. So no need to recreate it. Now we can use, because all of us, as far as scene is concerned, as far as scene is concerned, we all should be at this level, not with the colors and all, but at least the models should be at this level, that there is a floor, there is a valve, there is a pipe, there are two tanks. Design part we are going to look at now, but at least we should be at this level. So which we had done till yesterday. So just click on that particular model. That will launch the model. I already have it launched. After that, what we are going to do is, so your scene, so I'll tell you what is going to be our end target. We should have a scene which looks something like this, and it will not be just part of Unity. We are not going to have it just inside Unity. We will create a application with it. For the ease of our use, currently I will only create a Windows application, because for your mobile phones, you don't have any input devices like a controller. So even if we make a VR application there, it won't run, uh, and it will be static to just one window. So to avoid that, what we are going to do is, we are going to create a Windows application. So which I have already done in my case, and we all are. So I'll just to let you know that what is the last thing that we are looking at. So we'll create one such application in which like we can look around, move forward, backward, and we should have all those tank level, flow rate, valve opening numbers being printed there, so that we are aware of what is the current value of all those variables, and then we should be able to control the valve as well. So using uh, our keys of from our keyboard, we should be able to rotate it, and it will not be just physical rotation. You can see that the valve opening is also changing, so that variable is required to go to OpenModelica, and those two variables, level and flow rate, are supposed to come from OpenModelica. So that's it for now. So this is going to be our end goal for the day. So yeah, I'll require your full attention, because now it is not very complicated, but still compared to what we have done so far, there are a few more steps in this to do. So I hope we are all at this level as far as scene is concerned, and without the colors. So color scheme, I'll let you know what to do for that. So, for example, you will currently you will have everything like this tank, the valve, tank 2, and this thing should be inside the valve. Vana is the name of the valve model. So this untitled, which in our case is the manual valve that we are moving, or hand wheel. So hand wheel should be inside the wall, so that if I want to change the dimension of this whole wall, uh, I should be able to do that, and along with the wall, this hand wheels dimension should also change. So we had gone through this yesterday. So I guess all of us are at this point currently, and for you, those three things will be outside. It won't be under the hierarchy of connected tanks right now. So what you have to do is right click and click on create empty. So you will by default it gives it a name, game object. You have to change its name to connected tanks, or whatever name you want to give in just for representation. Rename it, and then once you have renamed it, uh, just click on individual thing, like click on tank, keep pressing control and select all three. So keep pressing control on your keyboard and select all three. So this will make sure that all the three components are selected, the two tanks and the valve. Uh, and for you, the cylinder might also be outside right now. Second, this one, this cylinder, which is the pipe. So what I would suggest is drag pipe also inside this particular thing. the wall, so that all of them are related. After that, simply just press Control and drag and drop them inside the game object. I have already done that, so I won't repeat this step. So you have renamed it connected tanks, and yeah. So you will have inside the connected tanks, now you will have all three components which are there in your connected tank model, which is uh, those two tanks, the pipe, the valve, and like inside the valve itself you will have this pipe and the wheel. Now what why I told you to do this is because now if I want to drag my whole scene somewhere, so I don't have to individually move everything around. I can simply do this because now everything is under one prefab or one package. Then I can simply move it around, and that uh, makes this job a bit easier to do. So once that step is done, so once that step is done, I hope yesterday you had included canvas as well. Means canvas and then text. So in text, as I told you yesterday, you can write anything inside, and whatever you write, it will appear on your screen. For you currently, it will be in the middle of the screen. So what you are required to do is you are required to make those adjustments. So position X, first of all, do this, that select from here select left and top, so which is this location. So top left. After that you have to select what should be the position of it. So for me, for x 100 and position minus 30, this thing appears at this corner, so which is what I required. For you, it can be same or it can be different depending on the dimensions of your computer. So first of all, just try with those dimensions. If it works for you, whatever you write here, that should appear on the corner. So which is not solving any purpose here, but simply so that aesthetically it looks good. Because having all those labels appearing here will be will not look good when you are working with this VR. Okay, so once that is done, once those positions are set properly, after that what we can do is, uh, so we will require that, so here those settings will be different for you. So first of all, click on align by geometry. Alignment would be same for you, I guess. In case it is not, then make it left top. Align by geometry, tick mark there. And in horizontal flow, if it is overflow, to make it wrap. And in vertical overflow, if it is truncate, then make it overflow. So what this will allow is that if a text goes out of window size of this particular text box, it will not get truncated, but the text box will get extended. For example, right now you can see the text box is just saying welcome to FDP, but when we run it, at that time we are supposed to see several values here. So for being able to do that, we have to make vertical overflow equal to overflow. So that's it. And then color, uh, it would be your choice. I choose generally yellow because that gets, I don't generally include anything yellow in my model. So which makes sure that this particular text gets reflected on all the surfaces. It doesn't get blended in with anything. So that is all subjective. So the choice would be that use a bright color, because mostly the background and all the models we have chosen to color are dark. So a bright color looks better on dark. And one can see the values easily, because we are supposed to look at those values. So it should be very clear. So to ensure that use a brighter color, how to do that? Just click on the color wheel here, then select the color you want. You can have different shades of same color. So I have chosen yellow. You can choose a neon green as well, or red will also be fine, except for on the brown color. But green and yellow should be ideally good. Blue, because sky is blue, so it won't be that reflective on that surface. So the choice would be green and yellow. So you can select any of the color from here, and that's it. So that's all the setting required for the text part. Let me know if all of you were able to follow till here.
Yes, I think you can proceed.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So next thing is, once text is done, the whole scene is done. Then next thing is to just make it look aesthetically more appealing. So what we will do for that is, uh, we will create a folder called material here. So right click in the assets, this folder area, workspace, right click, click on create, and select folder. Once you select folder, you get uh, you will be able to edit the name of it. Instead of new folder, just write material. Then inside the material, if you want the default colors that are already available inside Unity, for that what we do is, we right click, click on create, and select material. Okay, so for example, I want to make a material which should be blue in color. This name doesn't mean anything. It is just to represent that I'm going to select a blue color. So for selecting blue color, what you do then is you click on the material that you just created. Go to this part here in front of albedo on the right hand corner. uh, in front of albedo, you will see this color picker and a white color window. So click on this white color window. It will create pop up this wheel here. So I have select I had I was planning of using a blue color. So any shade of blue I can have, light or dark. And yeah, so that creates my material here. So now if I want anything to be blue on this scene, what I have to do is simply drag. First we'll get to the scene mode, drag and drop it there. For example, if I put it on this right now, floor will become blue. If I put it on this tank will become blue. It gives you a preview also, like how it will look. So that's it. I have already selected color, so I won't do that. So what you have to do is, because you can see that floor that I have used here, I have made it brown. So similarly, you can select brown color here. What you have to do is go to the red color and make the shade a little bit darker. That will make it brown. And then what opacity you want of that color. Right, this much looks good. Yeah. So now it is this color. So now you can see that it's a different shade than what I am using, but still it's nearly brown. So you can create your own shades like this. Now on two of the materials I have used those inbuilt colors. So one was the floor, where I've used brown, and one was this valve. Oh, sorry, one was the valve handle. So just the wheel, I have painted it red so that it looks very reflective, and uh, it can be easily visible in the scene. So I've used red color here. So similarly, as I created this brown color, you can create red color. Okay. So for example, here I have created, so this is the color of my floor I have already created, and this is the color of this valve here. So similarly for this as well, once you have selected your color, then what you have to do is just click here and drag and drop it there. So once you drop it there, that particular thing will convert into this color. Now valve is already blue in color. To its Blender design itself. So if you want to change it to any other color, then good. But to me, it appeared good, so I didn't change that color. Otherwise, you can change that as well. For example, if I select it to be blue, and I can simply drag and sorry. So I can simply drag and drop it there. So now wall will be blue, but I don't want to do that. The color appeared good enough. So yeah, so that's about the coloring of the with the basic colors that are already provided in Unity. Then second thing is I have the folder that I just gave you, this drive link from that you downloaded. You will have three folders there. One will be material. So inside that I have two pictures, JPEG pictures. One is tanks, one is pipes. So simply copy and paste those things inside the material folder that you just created. So what you have to do is just copy, Control C or Control X, whatever you want to do. Then wherever your model is, your Unity project is, so just go to that folder. For example, from it's here, and I have material folder here. So simply paste it here. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. So once you paste it there, it takes some time for Unity to read that some new material is there in that folder. And once you're done with that, you will see that there will be some images inside your materials folder, right? So now just what you did with the basic colors, you have to do the similar thing here as well. For example, for tanks, I'm using these vertical lines. So and I have named it also tanks. So you can simply drag and drop it on top of the tank. Okay, and uh, at once it may not appear to be this metallic in shade. Okay, because by default it takes just one tile. One tile means one picture. The whole scene would be covered with just single picture. What we want is we want to create this nice shade of uh, colors in it, or the metallic shade in it, with a few patches of brightness, few patches of darkness. So for that, what we can do is once you have dragged and dropped this on both the tanks, right? So do it for both the tanks. Once you have done that, uh, you can click on any one of the tanks, and when you do that, so it will take you to this cylinder section. Okay, once you are there, you will see that you will see here that it is saying tanks. Okay, so where it is saying tanks, just drop down the menu from there. Okay, and in the tiling section, so for this particular design, to get everything nice in the, so this is the x-axis for it. So you can see that blue is upwards. Generally it is y, but for this particular model it is coming to be x is so what we will do is, oh no, it is coming as z, so axis is this way. So what we will do is we will make x equal to 5 and y equal to 0. By default it will be 1 and 1 for you. Okay, and it depends, it really depends on the geometry that you have created in Blender. So it can be the opposite of it as well, that for you, for example, if I make this 0 and this 5, so that is not very appealing, or it is not looking proper. No, but when I make this 0 and x5, it looks metallic. So it really depends on the way you have created your model. Most probably it should be the same, because you followed the same Blender tutorial for building it. So yeah, once that is done, so now tanks are looking metallic. So that is done. Then we come to the pipe. So similarly, for pipe, I have given you one more drawing which says pipe. So it's simply drag and drop it on top of the pipe. So once you do that, again you have to do the same thing. Go to this wherever it says, for example, for me it says index, because when I was using it, the name of that image was index. For you, it would show pipe here. So once you click on that, similarly do the tiling. Now in this case, tiling is to be done in the y-axis. So I have made y equal to 3 and x equal to 0. And this is all subjective, so it is you get to know that what should be this number only when you make the changes, and like it should be looking good to your eyes. Now for example, if I make this also 5, so that for some it may look better, but I found 3 to be better looking, so I kept it at 3 only. If you want more number of tiles in it, and that looks more appealing to you, you can go that way. So that was about the aesthetics of it. Now I hope that everybody is at this level, so each one of you should be having all of this on your screens. uh, so can we proceed further? Yeah, anyone can answer. If anything requires more clarification, that can also be done. I'm not getting any response, so can we proceed? Am I audible?
Yes, Ritesh, you are audible.
Yeah.
Participants, you can unmute your mic and respond.
Okay, I got one message. Yeah, so yeah, participants, anybody, I can't even look at your face, so I don't think anybody will be highlighted if you say yes, sir. You can simply yes, or no need to say sorry, but I'm very junior to you. So just say yes. Yeah, so that's it. So that's for the aesthetic part of it. And then now we proceed to the scripting. Now there are many scripts that I have sent to you. I guess 3 to 4 scripts were sent. I'll just look at it. So in the scripts folder, you have 4 scripts. You have one is for keyboard move, which will allow you to move your character using the keyboard keys. Then we have mouse look, which allows you to look around using a mouse. Then we have a UDP server script, which we have gone through last time as well. And then finally, we have the Valve script, which allows us to take inputs from our keyboard and make changes. So, what I told you a few minutes ago, what I showcased to you, that you can rotate the wheel, the hand wheel, or the manual valve. That happens through this script. So, we have a total of 4 scripts here. So we will move to that. And before that, yesterday, I guess you might have included that GVR editor emulator, right? So it must be there in your this hierarchy and event. Sorry. So yeah, GVR event system would be there in your hierarchy. So what I want you to do that is I want you to delete those 2 things for today's session. Why? Because these things are required when you're so this emulates the Google VR seed on your desktop, but that happens only when you are using Unity. So inside Unity, you will be able to look around you by pressing Alt key and moving your mouse. But when you create a window application, now you won't be able to do that because this particular library is meant for Android phones, not desktops. So when you try to do the same after creating application, you won't be able to do. So it's um, better to just delete it, and how you delete it is the means you might, it might be there in your hierarchy. Just do single click on top of it and press delete, so that takes that particular object out of the hierarchy. So what we are going to do is we are going to replace that with our own script, which I have given to you. So what you have to do is, if you have downloaded the folder from there, copy and paste again scripts to the assets folder. So we know how to go to assets folder. So what you have to do is just copy the whole folder itself. So copy, and wherever your projects are, so wherever is your assets folder here, simply paste it there. I already have it, so I won't do it again. So once you do that, it will take few seconds, and then it will appear in your assets section in Unity platform, and then you have to go to the scripts. So here you can see we have 4 scripts. So first of all, I'll go through the ones that we have already used. So for example, this UDP server is the only script here which we have already used. So double click on this script. It will open up in any of the editor that you have. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. For me, it is appearing like this. For you, it can be on any other editor. Yeah. So here in this script, we have already gone through what is what in this script. So we have a thread which starts in our void start function. So in update we have a change that I'll talk about, and in this receive data we have certain changes that I'll talk about. So first of all, the things that I have included here, new things that I've included here is, first this public text box. So it's a text box where we are going to write our level, flow rate, and valve opening. I've included two new variables here, level and flow rate, for the variables coming from OpenModelica. Port is still the same, 12345, and this part here is untouched. It's still the same. Now here the text box that we just created here, public text box. So what should be printed inside that? So this is the string for printing. So we are going to print tank next line, level. So whatever is the level of tanks coming from OpenModelica, so that will be printed. And 2 here means that after decimal 2 digits should be printed. Then flow rate. So here, in fact, we can change it a bit here. So I hadn't written percent here. So yeah, percent. Then flow rate. Uh, so flow rate also is there. It also comes from OpenModelica only. So similarly, flow rate dot to string and 2, which means up till 2 decimal points. Now flow rate, as we know, so it should be in meter cube per second. So we'll place the unit also here. And then in next line we are showing valve opening. So valve dot opening into 100, and this thing. So this is the whole string that we are printing on top of our view. And next thing is, here only few things are changed. So one thing is that earlier we were sending one address. For example, I was sending ht comma value, which means this split. What it was doing, it was splitting the incoming string into 2 depending on where the comma is placed. So everything before comma into one string, everything after comma into one string, and so that was creating a string array. So that time in data was address, in data 0 was address, and in data 1 was the value. This time both will be values only, because we want 2 values. So what I have done in my Python script is just send the 2 values separated by comma. So level is in data 0, which means the first string in the array, string array, and the flow rate is the second value in the string array in data 1, and the valve opening is anyhow coming from Open Modelica only, so it's simply Valve dot opening. So Valve is the name of the script that we have written for doing that function, that changing opening with respect to the key that we press on our keyboard. So there we have a variable called opening. So Valve dot opening dot to string, which is converting that number into a string, and we are printing it here simply. We can even comment it out. So for commenting, you have to do double slashes, just like in C language. Because this I was using while I was debugging the code. We don't need to print it anywhere. So we can simply close it or comment it or delete it, anything that you want. So here is the main part. Uh, yeah, so level is equal to float dot parse. So what we are doing here is we are converting whatever the string that came from our. So whatever is the data coming from our Python script from Open Modelica. So its first value, which I told you that it's a level value. So level I am putting into the variable level, and the flow rate I am putting inside the variable flow rate, which we had declared on top. So private float level, private float flow rate, which is 0 by default. But once the value starts coming in, uh, they uh, they are equal to the value which comes from Open Modelica. Then we are going to send also some data, which is our valve opening. So valve dot opening dot toString, simply converting into encoding in with the UTF-8 encoding and sending it on the UDP port. So this is same as we had done last time also. Only thing that we changed is what are the variables that we are using. And last time we used the switch case. This time we are simply putting those two values inside the variables, no switching to be done here. So that's it for the UDP server script. Then next is the next script that we would be looking at is, so this UDP server, you can put it, yeah, so player we haven't created yet. Yes, one thing we forgot. So just like you created this connected tanks, what you have to do is create again, right click here and create empty, and give its name as player. So you can name the player, you can rename it from here as well, or if you do a single double click a bit late click on this, then here also you can change the name. And once you have changed its name to player, simply drag the main camera. For you, main camera must be outside, so simply drag that main camera inside game object. So doing something like this, like click on top of it and drop it inside that thing here. So once you do that, then you have what you are trying to do here is you are creating a body and a head, simply for our mouse look operation. So there it will be very useful. So after you have created the player, just go to the transform section, and here right click and reset. So once you do reset, then you will see that in the scene, uh, the player will appear a bit underground. Okay. So, and then what you have to do is you have to add a character controller to it. So once player is there, you won't see this capsule kind of thing as of now, because this is a character controller script. So for creating a character controller, click on player and click on add component. So once you go there, just simply type controller. First option that you get is that of a character controller. Now here we can keep a few of the things as it is. For example, slope limit, step offset, skin width. default distance, minimum distance, and everything can remain the same. Only thing that you can change or you should change is the height. So I have made it 4. Uh, you can also make it 4. So just to adjust the height so that a player is almost equal to the tank levels. For you, it can be smaller than that also. So just make sure that when you look in the game view, players should look equivalent to the tanks, so that like when you move around, then at that time you can actually look down upon the wall. So only the thing is that aesthetically it will look good to have the player that much of height. Once you give it that height, half of it would be underground, because capsule's center of gravity remains in the middle of its body. So then what you have to do is simply either use this move tool and in y-axis drag it up, or simply write y equal to 2, because we know already that the height we have given is 4. So this to this distance would be 2. So make y equal to 2, then that creates an offset in y direction and brings your player on top. Then main camera. So for main camera also, it would its height should be means its y offset should be 2, so that it appears on top of this capsule. So this will appear to be a head of your player, and rest of it is body, which is very useful when we are making that look around script, and when we want our player to move its head and body, because what we can do is like top to bottom view we can make it head movement, and left to right movement we can make it body movement. So for that we do this particular thing, and for doing that we require a character controller, so which we are going to create inside the player. So once you have added that script here, character controller, by clicking on add component and add character controller. So after that, you can add your UDP server script also there. Okay. So what you have to do is simply drag and drop it on that section. And once you do that, so here you will see that it will say none, no or no text, or something like that. So what you have to do is, because you already know that you have created this text object here inside the canvas. So this text object. So simply click on player and drag and drop this text inside that section. So once you drop it there, yeah, so once you do that, so that text will appear here. So now what that does is it attaches your text game object to the script that you have written. And the next thing to do is we'll look at the mouse look, because next script that I have used here is the mouse look script. So what this script will allow you to do is, using this script, you can look around, like, so the operation that you were earlier emulating using GVR editor emulator, same operation you can do it using your script as well. So we'll look at the mouse look script. So here we are defining few of the things. So one private float variable, mouse sensitivity. I've kept it at 200F. That really depends on the mouse that you're using. So for me, 200F gave a good output, so I used this value. It can be 100F also for you. 100F means just float. It's just 100, 200, or whatever value you want. So keep it at 200 for now, and see how it responds. Then two public transform variables we have created. One is player head, one is player body. As I told you, that head would be the camera, body would be the player. So that thing. And then it is in this update section, what it is doing is it is getting inputs from mouse. So input dot get axis, and inside the bracket mouse x and mouse y. This gets the value from your mouse that you are using, or touchpad. Even if it is touchpad, it will take from that as well, in x and y direction, because mouse can work only in 2 dimensions. So that's why we have only x and y, and there's no z here. then multiplied by mouse sensitivity. For me, in X direction, sensitivity of 200 was good, but in Y direction, uh, that was making my game to go haywire. So I just divided the sensitivity by 2 for that, which means that in Y direction, sensitivity is just 100. So mouse sensitivity multiplied by time dot delta time, which even in last lecture when we did the bouncing ball, or the first lecture in which we did the spinning, there also we used this particular variable time dot delta time, which I told you gives a reference of time, so that whatever action you are doing, it keeps on happening whenever the time changes and when you are making that action. So it is for that. Then player head dot rotate. So head we are going to rotate in the mouse y direction. So vector 3 dot left will be governed by mouse y, and body will be governed by mouse x, and it will move the head up and down. So vector 3 dot up. So this is the script for the whole head movement inside the script scene. Then next we have is, so you can drag and drop this as well. So into the player. So drag mouse look into the player. And then here also you will have two empty objects here. One is player head, one is player body. So as I already told you, that the player head would be the camera. So just click on the camera there, keep clicking, drag and drop it here. So that will become the, so that will take the camera as player head. Then click on player and bring it to the player body section. So now you have attached your camera to the head of your script, and player body to the player body. So finally it gives you, one second, I did it wrongly. Yeah, so finally it gives you this operation, top bottom in this direction, and left right. So yeah, and for this you don't have to press Alt, because Alt was the requirement by Google VR Editor Emulator. Here you can simply move your mouse left and right, and it will do the job. So I hope we all are here now. Mouse look is working for all of you. So one thing that we have to pay attention while using this mouse look script is that once you click on play, just keep your mouse there only, because if you bring it down, then it will take that as also as input, and it might start looking up or down by default. So but your default view should be at this only. So till the time the scene appears, just keep your mouse there only. Then you can simply do this, and this mouse look only works when I'm on top of the screen. For example, right now if I go out, now if I try to move, nothing moves. It will only work when I'm on the screen, when I'm interacting with the screen. So yeah, that's the deal here. So mouse look is done. Then next is moving our character in the scene. So this moving script I have attached to the main camera. So keyboard move script, which is this one. So we'll double click on this. We'll look what is inside it. So here we have defined gravity. It will act negatively because we are supposed to go down when it acts. And then velocity we are defining. Then speed of the character we are defining here. And then simply taking, so this input dot get axis horizontal and get axis vertical, it takes input from the keys on your keyboard. So you can either use your WASD, which are generally used for controlling any character in any video game. So even in Unity, that's the default, that you can use the WASD keys, or you can use the even the arrow keys on your keyboard for giving this particular signal, the horizontal and vertical signal. After that, what we have written is simply move. We have created a 3D vector move, which says that whatever is the value coming from X, make it so convert it into a transform dot right, and whatever is value coming from z, multiply it with the transform dot forward, which means left and right motion and forward and backward motion. So two-dimensional motion we are getting here. Then controller dot move uh, moves into speed. So we have to incorporate this speed as well here. So what we are saying is, so we have created a public character controller which we have named as controller, to which we are going to give the character controller which we just made inside player as a we will attach that controller here. So what we are saying is move that controller with such speed. So whatever the number comes from this 3D vector here, move multiplied by speed. So for this x and z, because I told you in Unity y means upwards, so x and z. Okay, so two-dimensional motion we are going to get, y will be 0. So move into speed into time dot delta time, which we do for all our commands, so that we can have a time frame. Then velocity dot y should be equal to gravity. So what is our velocity? Velocity as is our 3D vector here. So which will have x and y, x and z as 0, and y its y value will be equal to gravity, which is minus 9.81 f. Finally we are saying controller dot move velocity into time dot delta time, which is providing it motion in z means y direction. Now why we have used this constant value here, gravity? Because what happens if I don't use this particular command here, what happens is that my character, once it goes up somehow, okay, for example, if I make my character to jump on this, after that character won't be able to come down to the ground because gravity is not acting. So in order to emulate that, what we do is we provide this gravity value in y direction. So whenever there is no ground under the player, it will just sink. For example, if I make it climb here, it will sink down. And if it goes here, so for example, here we have defined our area to be this much, right? So I'll click on y. So I have defined my area to be this much of size. Now, if what I do, I have made it given it a good amount of size so that I can roam around. For example, what I do, if I make my character to go out of those bounds. Now, until it is on this platform, it is good. Once it goes out of it, because of this keyboard mouse script, it will actually start sinking. It will go just to give you a demo of that, what I mean by it is, sorry. So what I'll do is I'll make my character to go backward, so that it now you can see that it had come out of that platform. So now it is just sinking. It will just keep on going down, and there's no coming back because gravity is acting there. So what I would like you to do is create this plane big enough so that your player can roam around. One additional thing then that one can do is erect walls on all sides, which we have done in the model that we have created for BMSC. So there we have erected walls here so that player, like, he can't go out of it. He's bounded by the walls. Here we don't have walls, we just have a platform, so there's a possibility that it can fall down. So for increasing the size, I have already told you that there is a scaling tool here. You can either use that for increasing or decreasing the size in x or y dimension, because it's a plane, so its size you can increase only in 2 dimensions. Otherwise you can do it in all 3 dimensions. So make this size good enough so that your player doesn't fall off while controlling anything, and that's the only condition here. But this gravity, although uh, it makes my player to go sink if I go out of the platform, but still it is helpful. As I said, that if for some reason my character elevates, for example, I make my character to go on top of this wall, and then its position is elevated. There is no way for it to come down unless I define gravity for it. So it's a necessary evil. So that's our keyboard move script. What you have to do is you have to go to main camera, and sorry, you have to go to your main camera and attach that script there. Okay. Once you do that, gravity will appear -9.81 for you as well, but here you will not see any character controller. Now we already know that we have defined our character controller inside player. So what we have to do is simply click on top of player and drag and drop it to this player section here. So that attaches character controller of our main player to the script, keyboard move script. So that's the movement part. So far we have covered 3 scripts: keyboard move, mouse look, and UDP server. Last is Valve. Now Valve, as I told you, that inside this Vana model, we have this untitled. So the untitled one is our uh, this Valve head, or hand wheel that we have created on top of the wall, which we can move around. So yesterday I had told you that rest of the valve is one model, but this externally we are attaching to it. The reason for that is that now whatever script I write, it will be applicable only for this particular hand wheel, not for the whole valve. For example, if I write a rotating script and it was attached, means it was not a separate model, then what would happen? The whole wall will start rotating. We don't want to do that. So we want this wheel to be a separate thing. And that's why this is externally we have added to it. Okay. So once we are on this, once we have selected this untitled from here, and we are on the valve, what we have to do is we have to simply drag and drop the valve script here. Okay, so I have already attached it, so no need to do it again. Now what is inside this Valve script, that we will see. So here we have variable public static float opening. Last time when we did bouncing ball, that time I had kept height as a static float variable. Now why we make it so is, so public float is available uh, for one script for editing from outside the script, but public static variable can be changed from any other script as well. So that is what the static keyword allows us to do. So public static float opening is equal to, by default I'm keeping it at 1 value 1.0, because as I told you that the valve can go from 0 to 1. So I'm keeping it at 1. Then step size for us is 0.0f. So step is how much it should move on each click or keyboard press. So the step size is 0.001. This is actually the value that it will change by. So the step will become equal to step size whenever any key is pressed. So this value will be equated to this, depending on which key is pressed. Then so start, we don't want anything on in update. So first we will initialize our step variable, make it equal to 0 every time. So this particular section is called, as I told you, that this void update is called once per frame. So on each frame change, this function is going to be called. So whenever it is called, make the step variable equal to 0. And input dot get key code dot h. So h means the key h in your keyboard. So what I'm saying here is, because WASD I'm using for character control, as I told you in the keyboard move or script. So similarly here I'm using H and G for moving the valve. So H will make the step size in positive direction. So step is equal to step size. And if key that I'm getting is G, then the step will be equal to minus of step size, which means a step in negative direction. So that allows you to open and close the valve. And then opening, which is our static variable. So opening becomes plus equal to step. So whatever is its value, it will become a step will be added to it. So whatever step value is, it can be either 0.001 or minus 0.001. So once that is done, we are clamping the value from 0 to 1 because if here if my size is 0.001, this step can go even negative something, but we don't, and that will finally make our valve opening also in a negative number, but we can have it just between 0 and 1. So that's why we are clamping that value between 0 to 1. So the opening value we are clamping between 0 to 1, which means that value cannot go lower than 0 and cannot go higher than 1. Now, if opening is 0f or opening is 1f, which means either valve is completely closed or completely open. In that case, don't do anything. So this is for the uh, animation of it. So when it is at those levels, that time I have just in front of if condition, if I write semicolon, that means that this control will stay here only. Else, which means if it value is other than 0 and 1, which can be between 0 and 1 only because we have clamped the value. So if it is any decimal value between 0 and 1, in that case, rotate whatever object it is attached to, rotate that vector uh, in like up axis means the y axis. So rotation around y axis uh, in the steps. So whatever was the step size multiplied by. Here I can keep a fixed number as well. Like I can write 1 or 2 or 100 or anything. So, but here we have written minus step size into 100,000. Minus I have written because in Unity, for positive change, actually y-axis goes clockwise, but we want it to for positive change, we want it to go in the other direction. For negative, we want to go in the opposite direction. For sake of that, one negative minus is attached here. So minus tap into so this is the number. Okay, how many, not how many rotation, but how many milliseconds of rotation we want. So that number I have written here, and time dot delta time, of course, that we have to write. So that's it. These are all 4 scripts for Unity. So this particular script, you might have already attached it to the untitled, which is our this wheel, the hand wheel in the middle. So that completes our whole scene here. There's nothing left, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So once all that is done, uh, then you can simply click on play. That will start the this connection also, UDP connection also. This with this play you can start, so it automatically starts that connection. So you can keep it on if you want, or like if you want to do it later, that can also be done. But now we will move to the uh, this section, the Python section. So if you have the codes with you, okay. So today's code, so in that there is one Python link folder as well. So inside that we have this script, Python script here. Now it is similar to what we had done last time. No new libraries to be installed. Same libraries, socket, sys, OPC, UA. If you have already socket, sys, and time are inbuilt, so they were not required to be installed at all. But OPC, UA was required to install. If you have done that last time, you should be able to use this script as it is. In case you have not done that, then simply go to the command prompt and type pip. So I'll type it here. So type pip install OPCUA. So that will install this particular library in your system. So pip is the Python handler for the installation, installing packages. Then in MI OPC client that I had created, there was one init function, there was one delete function, which are constructor and destructors for it, in which I'm making the client connect using the client connect method. Then I'm selecting a node by its ID. ID, as I had told you last time, that there are two parts to the ID. One is its namespace index, which tells in hierarchy where it is, and the other one is the actual address or the node ID. So uh, and I had told you that for run and enable stop time, that ID remains constant. And for a code, unless you include any more variables into it or make any big changes into the code, these numbers also remain the same. The valve opening, tank level means the variables that you have defined in it. For them also, ID remains the same. So if you haven't made any changes to the mathematical model that Ajay had given, you would still have those numbers. Uh, Let me know if in case they are not, which you will get to know once we run this. So here also I'm defining three variables: valve opening, tank level, volume flow rate, and what I'm attaching it to is uh, so first is this run and enable stop time, which I have told you that what it does. Run makes the model our simulation model to run, and enable stop time we have to make false so that it does not stop at the stop time and runs infinitely. So these two variables, inbuilt variables, then are user-defined variables, valve opening, tank level, and volume flow rate. We are selecting these variables by their node IDs. So for all the variables that are user-defined, their namespace index is going to be 1, and then their node IDs. So 2, 3, 4 that we have here. So before starting to read those values and sending it to the UDP server, what we have to do is we have to enable stop time uh, and make it false. Then simply run should be set to true using set value functions. And now we have to get values uh, from OpenModelica and send them to UDP server, which is running on our Unity 3D. So messages. So as I told you last time, we were doing here ht comma height dot get value. This time I am sending two variables separated with a comma. So this is the first variable, tank level dot get value, and this is the second variable, flow rate dot go, get value. So this is tank level, this is flow rate, volume flow rate. So two variables. So encoding that message in UTF-8 encoding, and then UDP client socket send to in that you have to put the address port. So you are going to send it on the local machine. That's why address this, and port, as I told you, in UDP we have defined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on that address, it will send whatever is the data that you have encoded here. And from there, you will get whatever you receive from there. It will come into this variable, byte receive. So that will also be in encoded form. So here, from here, you are sending encoded data. From there, you will get encoded data, so that you have to decode later. And the data that you get, it comes in an array of 2. So first one contains the information, which means zeroth location contains the information, and first location contains the address we don't want here. Address of server, it means. So address of server we don't want to show or get. So we will simply write valve opening, which is our this variable, dot set value. So for getting value from OpenModelica, we use function called get value. For setting it, we use set value. So set value, what it should be set with. So whatever we received, it's zeroth, which means the actual information, the data, dot decode means convert it from UTF-8 to readable form, and its float value. So that will be in string form when it comes from UDP, because we could see that where we have written UDP server, we have made var.opening.toString. So that will be in string form. So we have to convert it into float so that it can go to OpenModelica as a variable, float variable. And then it does the whole exchange and then operation works in that way. So one more thing that now you're required to do is run the connected tanks model that Ajay had given to you yesterday. I haven't sent it to you because I'm assuming everybody has already has it. So in this connected tanks model, inside the examples, we have the interacting tank with PLC, this code or the simulation model, which is completely graphical. There are no equations inside this model because all the equations are residing in the components. So, for example, tank will have its equations which are written here. Similarly, for valve, equations will be written inside its model. So as I told you earlier also that OpenModelica is completely class-based, completely modular. So what we have done here, we have created those components. Now we can simply drag and drop them. So these are all user-defined models here. So we only have designed those. So now you can have as many tanks as you want. For example, in our application, the previous one that Professor Desai told you about. So in that case, we had 3 tanks. Here we have single tank, and these are source and sink. Both are infinite sources of fluid. We are using water as a fluid here in this case as well. And there are certain values which are coming in. So this I valve opening value will come from somewhere. Tank level, flow rate, and valve opening is also giving out, but it's not required in our case. But for us, volume, flow rate, and tank level matters. So we will read those 2 values and we will give in this one value. Next thing to do is, because in this model we don't need to make any changes, run it as it is. Go to simulation setup, click on interactive simulation, check the interactive simulation block, so which gives you this port number 4841. Go to simulation flags, come down here in additional simulation flags, write -RT equal to 1.0 and simply start the model. So now what you will see is that model has started, but no value is appearing because it's on halt. It is waiting for some client to connect. And client can be connected when our UDP server is also running. So I will run this UDP server. Now you can see that here values have changed. Okay, now it's a tank. Okay. So this is one problem that we face. Okay, I have to from outside. I have to come over so that I don't disturb the scene. Then what you have to do is just go to the folder where you have the Python script. I have it here, Python link. In my case, because I'm using Linux, so I can simply start terminal from here itself. What you have to do is you have to go inside your command prompt. So click on the start menu in your computer, press CMD there. That will bring up the command prompt. And by default, it is always in the users folder. So it would be better if you keep this folder, this codes D05S01, this one inside the downloads folder so that it is easier to access. Then you don't have to change the this drive. You don't have to go to C or D or any other drive. You are in C and inside your user this thing folder. So from there, what you have to do is CD. So whatever is the name of this particular folder. Actually, I will also come back from here. Yeah. So what you have to do is CD, and what's the if you have done this. If you have unzipped this folder in the downloads, then what you have to do is first of all, before doing this, you will have to go to downloads first. So downloads,
ಅವ್ರ ಮನೇಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೀತಾ ಇದಾರೆ
comma. The mic is open.
Yeah, agreed. I am trying to figure out participant. One second. Isha, use your mic. Hello. Yes, Ritesh, I think you can go ahead now.
All right. Okay. Tech Fort is saying link. Okay, I'll copy this link again. Those who could not download it earlier because they joined later, they can download it. I've added the.
Sir, kindly share that connected tank link also, sir. Yesterday, first half you have told me, sir, that connected tank in open model.
You haven't got that.
No, sir.
Nobody has. You only or nobody has it.
I think I only, sir.
Okay, fine. I'll send it again. I'll have to put it to drive.
Ritesh, as discussed earlier, you are going
Yeah.
to put all the materials in one folder and you are going to
Yes,
share it.
yes, yes, yes. Today we'll do that and we'll send it to you and then you
Yeah.
can share.
Yeah. Once you do that, you let me know so that immediately I will share it to the participants.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so this next link is the connected tank model, Modelica model. So those of you who don't have, they can download it from there. Yeah, so where were we? Yeah, okay. So for you, you will have to do CD downloads, then that folder name that I gave you. If you have unzipped it inside your downloads folder only, I'll suggest you do that in case you're not very familiar with the command prompt. So simply write this command only, CD downloads codes. Then inside that we have this name Python link. Yeah. Then if you click enter, you will your command prompt will go into the folder where this particular script is located. Okay, for me it's a different this thing. So, yeah. So in in Linux we type ls for listing all the files that are there. In case of uh, Windows, you will have to type dir, so that can show you what are the um, means files in that particular folder. On Linux both works, so it's good. Fine. So once you are in this folder, you have to simply start the script. So for you it should launch with Python. For me it launches with Python 3. So I'll start my script. So connected tanks links.py, but before that just make sure that everything is on. Your scene is at this particular point. Okay, your currently your valve would be completely. You see that trouble. Okay, so now valve opening is at 100, level is at 0, flow rate it at 0 by default. So now I will start my script here. So I'm not printing anything on the script side, but on the Unity side, you can see that now my level is going up. And for 100% open valve, it will saturate at around 33%. And the flow rate, you can see it's 0.05 meter cube per second. Yeah. Now if I want to change the, so now you can see that around at around 33% my level is saturated. Right. So now what I have to do is I have to change the valve opening here. Okay, so that my level can go a little more up. Okay. So as I told you, for movement we use WASD, those 4 keys. Okay, and for this particular thing, for changing the valve opening, we had assigned G and H. So G was for decreasing the valve opening, which means closing it. So I'm pressing G right now. You can see that value is decreasing, and based on that, even the level value will increase now. Now, if I again valve opening, if I increase, I try to make it more, then you will see that level is decreasing now. So again, it will become saturated at certain value. So when valve is completely opened, that time it gets saturated at 33. For any value less than that, it will saturate, the level will saturate at some higher level. For example, for 88% valve opening, and the level is saturating at around 42. So all this calculation, that what should be the level for this particular valve opening, all that is being calculated by OpenModelica. This is not happening inside Unity, but Unity is simply just to see how things would, and to interact with it in more realistic way. So instead of giving value through a HMI or the simulation itself or any code, external code, we are just giving that value in a more interactive way, and that's the whole idea of behind making a 3D solution for automation and operator training. So you can come around. So as long as you're not going outside the scene, you can roam around. But if you go outside the platform, you will, as I told you earlier, you will just sink. Yeah, so that finishes this lecture. If anybody has any problem, and yeah, one more thing I told you was that we will build Windows this application. So for that, what you have to do is stop your operation from there, stop your script also. So that should stop the model as well. Okay, so once you come out of it, then go to build settings in your Unity, go to build settings. Click on, so first option is always this PC, Mac and Linux standalone. So because all of you are working on Windows, so you will see Windows here, I am seeing Linux. In architecture, it will show x86-64 or whatever architecture your PC has. And then you can go to player settings. So in player settings, you will find this resolution and presentation. So here select windowed and make window size a bit less. So I have kept it 720 by 480 so that it appears like a small window.
Mr. Ritesh is here.
Hello, am I audible?
Right now, you are audible, Ritesh.
Yeah, actually what happened here, power went and my UPS is also out of
Okay,
power.
no problem, no problem.
but lecture was over. So only thing that I was telling now was that how to create a window application. So once you go that, once you have set the resolution, just cross on top of it. So that saves those settings. And again, you will come to that build settings window. There, simply click on build. Then it will ask you that where do you want to save it. Create a folder, name that folder anything, and select that folder for saving your project files. Then when you click OK, it will start building your project as.
The screening share is not available, sir.
Yeah, I don't have a screen to share. Currently, my desktop is off, so there's no
Okay,
power. So
okay.
just follow what I'm saying.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So once you have selected the folder, clicked OK, then it will start saving your project file into that folder that you have set it to build in. And once that is over, it will pop up with the message that that thing is done. Then you go out and look into that folder. You will find one folder and 3-4 files. Out of them, there will be one exe file with the name of your project. So click on that exe file. That should start a Unity small window, which will have the scene that you just created. So in this way, you can create a standalone application also. That you don't, for using VR, you don't have to every time come into Unity. That's a standalone application. If you just double click on that, that starts the UDP server, that starts the mouse look operation, that starts the keyboard movement and everything, and the valve opening, closing. So all the operations that you did inside Unity, all that are now mapped to one single application. And then same thing, you can start your Open Modelica model in interactive mode with the making RT equal to 1.0, which means real-time clock at 1.0, and start the Python script as I just told you, that Python space the name of the script, enter. So that way the whole operation is completed. So yeah. So any questions?
Participants, any questions? Ritesh, can you give the some brief guidelines about what would be the participants need to do in the next session as part of hackathon that is being scheduled today?
Yeah,
Or you
sure,
would you
sure.
like
So
to do it in the next session itself?
no, we can do it now. So in for the hackathon, as even in the beginning of this session also, I told that you can follow any tutorial online, any lecture, any document online to create an application of your choice. So here the main is, because it's a hackathon, so we won't be giving the exact problem to solve. So here you won't be solving any problem either. Here you are just trying to create an animated video. You are trying to move some cubes or spheres around, and so which showcases something. For example, one example I can give you, for example, somebody can create a ping pong game, table tennis game, using 2 cubes and one sphere. So that sphere just moves around, strikes with those cubes, and back and forth. So something similar to this, uh, using the basic, either use the basic models that are already there inside Unity, which is sphere is there, cube is there, and cylinder is there, capsule is there. Either use etc. So either use those components, or if you want to create your own 3D components, you can do even that. And even online, you can find various 3D things for free. Many of them are for free. For example, there's a website called GrabCAD where you can find models. Only condition would be just try to search for the files with .blend extension, which stands for the Blender, so that it is easy for you to incorporate that in your scene that you're trying to create, animated scene that you're trying to create. So yeah, so all the resources are available to you online. There's no negative marking for cheating. In fact, it is encouraged. And yeah, that's it. Create something which looks interesting, need not to be have any functionality like a I'm not asking for the 3D tank, 3 tanks or any other model here. Simply anything, any animated thing which can be funny, which can be interesting, or anything. Yeah. So these are the rules or guidelines. Yes, sir.
Anything else from the participants? Any doubts? Ritesh, did you also announce that there will be attractive prizes for the winners?
Yeah, I guess you have already 3 to 4 times told about it.
Yes.
So yeah.
And there was also a question whether they can work in teams or they need to work in individual.
Yeah, those who can work in teams, they are allowed to do that. So the thing is that because price is the same, uh, one takes it, two takes it, four take it. That doesn't change anything. So you can be in teams, you can be individual, whichever capacity you want to work in. That's up to you.
Ritesh, one participant has requested to repeat the rules once again. There is a request from one participant.
Okay, please repeat the rules. Okay. Actually, there are no rules. As I told you, that you can cheat from anywhere. You can look for resources online, any tutorial, any game, even the 3D models. If you want to download, you can download from websites like Free 3D and GrabCAD, etc. And or simply use your inbuilt models that are already inside Unity, or use the models that you have created, like football you have created already, tanks you have created already. So use those models, create something interesting. It can be anything. And okay, the source code you are supposed to write. That's the hackathon. We won't be code also. You can you will find online. So whatever you want to do, if you can find a code for that online, and you understand what that code is doing, yes, you are allowed to use it. But that's the hackathon, that you have to build something yourself. Codes won't be given, models won't be given. They're all available online. Use them, make them something interesting. And deadline is because hackathon session is the next session. And we had given you the problem, I guess, 1 day back. So during that hackathon session, we'll keep some time for you to present, but consider like half an hour should be the end of doing it, because 1 hour at least we have to give you for presenting your whatever you have designed.
Yeah. Any other queries from the other end? Yeah. So with this, I would like to thank Ritesh Sharma once again. He is from Modelicon Infotech for providing us the information. And we will resume our session. Actually, the session was supposed to be started by this time. So since the first session is got over just now, shall we have a break of 10-15 minutes? What is your idea, Ritesh, and the participants?
Yeah, sure, sir. 12 would be fine, I guess.
Okay, so we'll have a break for 15 minutes now, and then we will rejoin at 12 noon. Is that okay with the participants?
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you. We will join at 12 noon once again. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sukumaran sir, would you speak? Would you want to share anything, sir?
Okay, 12 o'clock is okay. That's all. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.